Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Our board meeting of the Roaring Fork Transportation Authority. Nicole, could you do a roll call?
Colin Laird,
Here.
Art Riddle,
Here.
Alyssa Shank,
Here.
Aaron Zielinski,
Present.
Jeannie McQueenie,
Here.
Tori,
Here.
David Knight.
Here.
I think that's everybody. If I missed anybody, let me know.
You need to
Great.
add Tom Fritzstein to that. He's the
okay.
new alternate,
Well, thank you.
replacing Bill. Yeah.
Great. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from November 14th.
I would make a
And-
motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve the minutes passes. Do we have any public comment? Nicole, can you check, or Kurt? I can't see anything.
I do not see any hands.
Going once, twice. Okay. Any items added to the agenda? Board member comments? Hearing none. Moving on to the consent agenda. Okay, so that includes preparing the report prepared by EPS for the housing program, resolution 2024-22, the intergovernmental agreement for Garfield County senior programs, the traveler services, and resolution 2024-23, party memorandum of understanding regarding Garfield County senior programs. Any items on the consent agenda that for further discussion or a motion?
I'll move to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second it. It's Alyssa.
Great. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving right along, presentation items, resolution 2024-24, approval of the the agreement between Amalgamated Transit Union, ATU, Local 1774, and Roaring Fork Transportation Authority, effective January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2027. Kurt, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Chair. Before us today, we have a tentatively agreed to collective bargaining agreement between RFTA and the Amalgamated Transit Union, Local 1774. The union and RFTA did agree to a collective bargaining agreement in November. We were able to resolve the outstanding issues that had led to an impasse in September, and had then also led to the union providing a notice of intent to strike to the Colorado Department of Labor. We were approached by the union with a proposal in early November, and they presented that proposal to RFTA, which would increase a particular bonus for employees that were at the top of their range, had been at the top of their pay range for 12 months. And that is a bonus that we've historically provided. In our past collective bargaining agreements, it was $1,000 one-time annual bonus for employees that had been capped at the top wage for 12 months or more. Their proposal was to increase that to $2,500. And they indicated that if that were accepted, that all outstanding items within the CBA for wages, for housing stipend and for any work rules that were identified that we were still at an impasse on would be resolved. RFTA management conferred. We also met with the union or the board of directors in November to share that proposal in executive session, and RFTA felt that that was an acceptable proposal, especially since it would resolve all the other matters, and we tentatively agreed to that. The union on December 7th, which was this past Saturday, brought that tentatively agreed to collective bargaining agreement to their members, and they did vote and ratified that collective bargaining agreement. So the next step to formally adopt and execute this 3-year collective bargaining agreement from January 1st of 2025 through December 31st of 2027 would be for the board of directors here today to formally accept this collective bargaining agreement that has been negotiated by RFTA and ATU Local 1774. Trying to share my screen here. You can see the wage chart on the screen. This is the wage chart that was agreed to by both parties. And item G within the wage article does indicate that year-round CDL bus operators will receive a $2,500 gross bonus on the payroll period that includes the employee's anniversary date after having completed 12 months at the maximum step. So with that addition and the new wage scale that was presented by RFTA in their best and final offer, has in 2025 a starting wage of $31.05 and a top wage of $39.15. In 2026, the starting wage is $31.36 with a top wage of $39.54. In 2027, a starting wage of $31.67 and a top wage of $40. The other primary change was we previously had 7 steps to reach the top wage. That was reduced to 6. So those are the primary items that changed within the collective bargaining agreement. There were some minor work rules that were agreed to by both parties, but this is the substantial changes for the new 3-year collective bargaining. So I will look to our Chief Financial Administrative Officer, Mike Yang, to see if there's any additional comments he might have on the compensation piece.
Thanks, Kurt. Yeah, just as a reference, I know Kurt already highlighted the main points. Just wanted to share from a reference standpoint, in our current wage scale now, the starting wage is $30.60. And like Kurt mentioned, we have 7 steps in our current scale, and our current maximum is $38.76. So the reason why I'm mentioning that is that more for a reference point to see the movements from those to the new starting wage of $31.05 and the top end at 6 steps is $39.15. But no, thanks, Kurt. I think you covered it all.
I would just add that we are really pleased that both parties were able to come together. We were committed to finding a resolution. We're committed to serving our communities that we serve with public transportation, knowing how vital that is to our region, and just really pleased that we were able to get this done. So with that, I will hand it back to the board if there are any questions.
Any questions for Kurt? Well,
I
it
don't see
seems-
any, Colin.
What's that?
I don't see any.
Okay, thank you. Well, Kurt, I think you and your team did a good job with this and appreciate all the efforts. We clearly, as a board, have, I think, worked over the last few years to be very supportive of our workers in general and the bus drivers in particular. And I'm glad we were able to reach a resolution that meets some of their needs. It's a hard environment to be paying people, but I think RAFTA's done a nice job trying to acknowledge all the hard work the bus drivers do for the organization and for the general public. So thanks to you and your team for working through this. Never an easy process, but I think it came out well in the end. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Colin,
Anything else?
we did take a roll call vote on this last year, so I don't know if we need to again.
Okay. Do you need
Jeannie
motions
has her
to
hand up.
accept? Jeannie?
Yeah, I just wanted to add my appreciation to the team. You know that it was tough. And as things battled back and forth in terms of the negotiations, I thought you guys really handled it very professionally and calmly. And I really do appreciate that you guys got it done.
So Nicole, would it be good to have a motion to approve and a roll call?
Yep.
Okay, so hearing that, I'm looking for a motion for the resolution 2024-24. Anybody want to make that motion?
I'll do it. I'll move to approve resolution number 2024-24.
Isn't it?
I second.
Who was the second?
Aaron Selinsky.
Aaron.
Great. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Aye.
Roll call vote.
Oh, roll call.
Sorry, roll call.
Colin Laird,
Yes.
Art Riddle,
Yes.
Alyssa Shank,
Yes.
Aaron Zielinski,
Yes.
Jeannie McQueenie,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
David Knight.
Yes.
We have an approval.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing resolution 2024-25, adoption of the 2025 Roaring Fork Transportation Authority budget. Paul Hamilton and David Carl.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. And thank you. Yes, this morning we do have 3 resolutions that are on the agenda for the public hearing. The first resolution, 2024. In fact, I'm going to share my screen here. Okay.
Paul, I inadvertently muted you. You need to unmute yourself. Sorry.
Feedback. Can you
Sorry
hear me
about
that? Anyway, I'm not. The first resolution is our budgeted 2025 revenues by fund, which does include our other financing sources, and that figures approximately 155 million in both revenues and other financing sources. The second resolution, 2024-26, it represents our budgeted 2025 appropriations by fund, which totals approximately 158 million. And the last resolution is 2024-27, which is the certification and levying of the mill tax levy for the 2025 budget year. So I did want to, before I jump into the presentation on these items, I just did want to share a couple highlights and high-level overview. At the bottom, we do have a couple attachments here. We do have our 2025 budget book, as well as our detailed general ledger. We'll touch more on the budget book here towards the end of our presentation. These two items can either be found here or as well as in the web-based format as well. So those are additional resources as well. So I'm going to jump over. We do have one presentation today that covers all three of the resolutions. So I'll bring the presentation over. And I think the good thing today, this morning, is that we don't have, from the third draft of the budget, we did make some small minor updates. But I think the good news is that a lot of these numbers are relatively constant with the third draft of the budget, with a couple small exceptions. As an overview of the budget, we do have these numbers are very close to last year. Last month. Revenues represent almost 131 million. Other financing sources of 18.2 million. And I think at the end of the day, this number is very close to last month's change in fund balance, where we're using some savings as part of the 2025 budget. We did true up, had some minor sales tax revenue adjustments that we made in the fourth and final draft of the budget, as well as some lower than projected general business insurance expenditures. As far as major goals, this slide, we had this slide in last month's presentation as well. We do have the third year of the 6-year regional bike share plan included in the 2025 budget. The continued first last mile mobility grant program we do have $2.1 million budgeted in 2025. We continue to have the 13 bus replacements included in the budgets. It's currently assumed as a lease purchase with potential delivery in 2026, and are also pursuing grant funding as well for those items. We are underway in 2024 this year with the ERP, particularly the human capital management, the HCM portion underway, and that will this project will continue on with the implementation in 2025. Last month we did add in the GMF phases 6A, 6B, and phase 8 as that was added, like I said, that was added in the third draft of the budget. And some transition items, the last bullet point, most of the items were added in 2024, with the last remaining 2025 budget item for the new planning director position being included in 2025. This chart was just slightly updated from last month. Again, it just kind of shows the overview by fund of by fund for the 2025 budget. It does have the total revenues of almost 131 million here, as well as total expenditures of nearly 152 million in the bottom right corner of the screen. Again,
Paul,
this represents.
Sorry, Paul, I'm sorry to interrupt. Yep. I just wanted to let folks know that if you do need to make your screen size bigger to view what's on the slides, there is a minus and plus button above your screen that will enlarge your screen for you. So just wanted to make that known. Sorry,
is that better?
Yes. A little too, that's better.
Yeah. Again, the revenues have been slightly updated since last month, with nearly. I do like this slide because it shows the breakout between the and shows what our major revenues are, with sales and use taxes being the largest source of revenue. The capital grant revenue, that does include the grant funding for the 6A, 6B, and 8 project, followed by property tax revenue. I did want to highlight that we did include the 1% adjustment for the sales tax revenue in the fourth draft of the budget. I know this was a item that was brought up last month, so we did include that in the fourth and final draft of the budget as well. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to David. He's going to talk a little bit about the expenditures.
Just going through, as Paul talked about, our major change on expenditures was when we finalized our corporate and general business insurance was our primary. The other big thing going to the third to fourth draft, in the budget world, we call it fine tuning. So we did a lot of updates as we get like health insurance, elections from the team. So that gets incorporated in. So there was a lot of ebbs and flows going back, but the net difference was a decrease of $141,000. One thing to note as we go through, probably the other big item to note, as Kurt talked about the CBA, so those numbers are incorporated into this budget. The increase, so we have an increase in that one line item on the wage cap bonus, but all those numbers, the hourly rates have been incorporated here. Just looking at the 5-year expenditures, so one thing to highlight, our operating expenditures is a 5% increase over budget. Very similarly, our operating revenues is a 5%. So it's really sort of a net zero comparing those at a high level. A few of these, a lot of this information, a lot of this deck is just informational. Some of the information you saw in the third draft. So we'll kind of go through it pretty quickly, but it's also going to be an information source for anybody on the board or anybody else who wants to see it. Overall, our capital expenditures, that total capital outlay is $73 million. We do have the lease purchase proceeds right now in the budget for the bus, as well as the grant proceeds, and some local for the traveler vehicles that are included. So that kind of nets out to RFTA share of $17 million. The handful of next slides is really the strategic plan outcomes with our strategic initiatives embedded in each of the outcomes. So this kind of gives a holistic view. During the third draft, we really just focused on anything new. And then the second draft had the initial version. So we're not going to spend a lot of time going through, but if you just at a high level, just looking at these drafts, just will let you know what outcome area, where the dollars are being spent, and how many initiatives are flowing to each strategic outcome area. So we will be going through here. We're not going to really talk through it, but at any time, if anybody has a question, feel free to raise your hand, and then somebody will let us know that a hand is raised. All right, sustainable workforce, financial sustainability, satisfied customers, environmental, high-performing organization. You'll see that it's part of our largest of our items. They included the expansion project of the GMF, as well as the buses. So a couple items that aren't included in this, there are high priority strategic initiatives that were submitted in 2024 for the 25 budget. The GMF underground storage tanks, as well as the AMF roof and bus wash replacement. So RFTA, David Johnson and team, they are going to be pursuing grant opportunities on both of those. As was discussed last month, the Iron Mountain Plates financing, this will happen sometime in 2025. So we'll have those numbers finalized. Mr. Muckliang, if you have anything you want to add on that one, feel free.
No, thank you,
Housing
Dave.
policy and program implementation. Obviously, the part of the agenda summary was approving
the policy. So a lot of this will be moving forward and a little bit deeper discussions on how the policy and program will be implemented. So more to come on this one. Staffing levels, no change from the last draft. Fund balance, as Mr. Paul Hamilton discussed last month. One thing to note is we are drawing down our unassigned fund balance, and most of this, if you go from 2023 to 24, obviously, as some of our major projects come to a completion, as expected, we have been using just general fund, unassigned fund balance to finish those off. Before we jump, one thing we wanted to go through, and just because we put a lot of time and energy into it, but the web-based, I'm going to jump over. I'm not sure who's gone into the web-based version, but we're just going to do a quick high level. And from our standpoint, this probably is the best area. If you want to look at, we have the budget book in there, the big PDF. This will probably have the best layout. It's very user-friendly. If you just go in like the CEO budget message, there's a lot of interactive links that will just take you to the mission. So that is, oh, Paul, now I got to figure out where I'm at. Hang on. Going back. The other nice thing, just probably the last thing we'll touch on before we go into any questions, if you just go into any of the charts, the nice thing about everything's interactive. And so it'll pull up. So that's a nice thing about when you're on the web-based version of the budget. So I think at this point, if there's any questions, I'm going to turn it back over to Paul. Hearing none, I think the next step is it public comments.
David, this is Kurt.
Yes, sir.
Is the link to the ClearGov, what you're showing right now on your screen, is that on our website where others can find it?
It is. You know, I'm not sure if it is. We'll get it on there. Once everything gets adopted, we kind of change it from proposed to adopted. There's a couple of things before our final submission that we do update, like the performance measures. But right now, I do not believe it is on there, Kurt. So, but we'll get it up on there.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
I think
King
Mike,
has his hand
Mike
up.
has his hand up.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks, Paul and David, and thanks to the board for your engagement throughout this whole process. I know we started seemed like in the summertime, definitely when it was warmer. But I did want to express my gratitude to Paul Hamilton, our finance director, David Carl, our budget manager, and pretty much all our team, our entire team, because it's a long process over several months. But you know, this is really these efforts really pave the way for RFTA's to advance its strategic plan every year. And I think a lot of those, you know, there's a lot of numbers, revenues and expenditures and so forth, but we're trying to do a better job of tying what we're doing with those outcome areas. And I know it's a work in progress, and I do appreciate having, instead of a PDF document that's static, they have to download and just flip through the pages. You know, elevating it to the web-based version, you know, that's an improvement from before. So I encourage you guys to look at it. Hopefully you find it easier to navigate and just reference. But I did want to just share that perspective. I know there's a lot of projects on that in the budget, not just capital. I know we've been making a lot of progress on our capital projects the last couple of years since the pandemic. But there's one of the bigger lifts internally that people may not see is that ERP project, the implementation. So it'll be a busy year. You know, I'm excited for all the things that we were able to fund. Of course, we couldn't fund everything, but we're definitely making progress and we're moving in the right direction. So I just wanted to share those perspectives with the board. And if yes, as David mentioned, if there are any questions, please let us know. We're happy to answer anything. But hopefully, as we crescendoed into this last final board meeting, there aren't too many. And I think that would be a reflection on just our presentations over the last several months.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody else with any comments? Kurt, you okay? Anything? Okay. Well, I want to echo. Oh,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Colin, don't forget you have to open this up for public comment as well, all of the public hearings.
Okay, so I guess I'll save my comment and open up the meeting to public comment on the RFTA budget. Anybody in the public have a comment or question?
I do not see any hands up.
Am I allowed to close the public comment?
You are.
Okay, well, I will close the public comment and move forward. Do we have to, Nicole, do we have to do a separate motions on each of the item?
Yes,
related to
because
that?
we have to do a roll call vote on each of them.
Okay, well, before we go there, I just wanted to echo Mike's comments. I'm always impressed with the budget process that RFTA goes through. Doing this at our local level, I think we can learn a lot from what you've done, how you connect the strategic plan to the budget. I think it's really, really well done. So thank you all, and I really like the web-based option. I'm very envious that you have that. I know Basalt does the same thing, and I think we could all learn from each other in terms of how do we get this information out to the general public so they know how tax dollars are being spent and spent wisely in my thinking. So thank you very much to my team. Kurt, thanks for a great job, and here's to approving the budget. With that said, the first motion, if I can find where I am.
I'll make a motion
Okay,
to approve
okay.
2024 number 25.
Second.
Okay,
I'll
thank
second
you.
it.
Thank you. Okay, we got a motion by David and a second by Alyssa. Roll call?
Okay, Colin Laird,
Yes.
Art Riddle,
Yes.
Melissa Shank,
Yes.
Aaron Zielinski. You're muted.
Sorry. Yes.
That's good. Jeannie McQueenie,
Yes, yes, yes.
Tori,
Yes.
David Knight.
Yes.
It is approved.
Thank you. On to the next resolution, 2024-26. Looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve resolution 2024-26.
Second.
Okay, motion by Aaron, second by David. Roll call, please, Nicole.
Colin Laird,
Yes.
Art Riddle,
Yes.
Alyssa Shank,
Yes.
Aaron Zielinski,
Yes.
Jeannie McQueenie,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
David Knight.
Yes.
It is approved.
Thank you all. One more to go. Resolution 2024-27. Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-27.
I'll
I'll
second
second.
it. It's Alyssa.
Oh,
Or Aaron can second it, whoever
great.
said.
Okay, we got a motion by Art and a second by Aaron. Roll call, please, Nicole.
Colin Laird,
Yes.
Art Riddle,
Yes.
Alyssa Shank,
Yes.
Aaron Zielinski,
Yes.
Jeannie McQueenie,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
David Knight.
Yes.
It is approved.
Thank you all. Looking forward to a good 2026. With that, let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is CE report by Kurt.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Share my screen here. Okay, well, again, thank you all for accommodating a remote meeting today. We felt that that would be the best approach, being that we had a very short agenda and we'd wrap up pretty quickly. So thought we could reduce some of all of your travel time. CEO report, I had a couple items. I'm actually going to look to Mike Yang to speak to this first item, and then I'm going to ask our operations director, Ian Adams, to speak to our launch of our winter season. But Mike, if you wouldn't mind providing an update on this good news that we just recently got.
Thanks, Kurt. As you know, RFTA has issued bonds before to finance capital projects, and so we do have outstanding bonds that we're paying debt service on, and investors have invested in them. And usually, and the S&P Global Ratings Group, they are the group that rated RFTA's bonds when we were issuing, and every so often they do reviews or surveillance reviews just to study, evaluate how things are going. All our bonds are backed by our revenue stream, whether they're sales tax bonds or property tax revenue bonds. So the news that we learned in November last month was that as S&P Global was performing their work, they published a summary report on November 22nd that basically maintained RFTA's outlook as stable, and then upgraded its rating from a AA long-term rating to a AA positive. So this is really in reflection of just studying the performance of RFTA's tax revenues. And as we all know through our jurisdictions, we have benefited over the last few years of growth, and so that's what's represented here. So that's good news that we're rated now AA positive. So that's something that we will continue to receive news from S&P going forward, but we just wanted to point that out today.
Okay,
So that was
thank you,
that
Mike.
one, Kurt. Mm-hmm.
Congrats. It's a
Yeah.
great achievement.
So
It's really good.
Ian Adams, I believe, is on here. He's our operations director, and on November 25th, we launched our winter season, and for the first time in many years, we are doing so with our full complement of services without any reduced service to the public. So Ian, if you're on, if you want to speak to briefly just the hard work you and your team have been doing to get us to this point.
Yeah, our winter season is well underway. We will be entering our full service plan beginning this weekend with the opening of Buttermilk and Highlands ski areas, and our ski complement will be at full service at that time. The biggest difference to the public for the winter service plan we're operating currently versus last year is really to our regional services, mainly our BRT line. Last winter, with the staffing issues we were facing, we were operating a drastically reduced regional service plan on our BRT line, which is no longer the case for this year. So we have seen an increase in the number of trips we can offer to the public of close to 25% on the BRT service line, primarily focused on the peak ridership windows. So we'll be having a bus every 10 minutes operating on the BRT line when we experience rush hours going both up valley in the morning and down valley in the afternoons. Traveling to Highland Ski Area will also be a lot more convenient. There was some reductions of about 33% on the number of trips we offered up to that area last year due to staffing restrictions, and those are no longer in place. So if anyone's been around for a bit, we're really looking at kind of the first time our service plan really resembles a pre-COVID configuration. So should be a lot better experience for the public. And the main reason we're able to be in this position is the hard work of our human resources and training team working on getting our staffing levels up to the point where we can offer this full complement of our service plan. So very excited to be back to kind of a status quo position. And usually this time of year, we're in full sprint mode, just trying to cover all of our services, and we have a bit more of a sustainable pace right now happening in our department. So very excited for this winter. And I am currently sitting in our new operations center. So very exciting. We'll be moving fully into this space next week on Tuesday. We'll have all of our operators and road supervisors and be utilizing the space at 100% capacity. So lots of exciting things happening.
All right, thank you, Ian. I'll let the board here comment in a sec. I just wanted to also just quickly highlight that we do have all of our performance metrics here in the CEO report. I think the highlight is that we are anticipating at the end of this month, we will break 5 million passenger boardings for the first time since prior to the pandemic. We also have a number of other metrics in here. If there's any questions or comments on that, we're happy to answer those questions. We also have a financial report provided by Mike and his team. With that, though, I'll hand it back to the board.
Thanks, Kurt. Any questions for Kurt? That's all great news. And having been on the board the last couple of years where we sweated not having enough staff to provide the service, great work to change things around. And I'm sure everybody who uses RFTA is going to breathe a sigh of relief that there'll be more service throughout the region. So thank you to the team for making that happen. I know that's not easy in our environment to be fully staffed on just about anything. So really, really appreciate all the hard work. Other questions for Kurt? Seeing none. So where are we now? God, these online meetings are a challenge. Okay. Board agenda. Okay, CEO report. Issues to be considered at the next meeting. Is there anything we'd like to put on the agenda? Our next meeting is going to be January 9th, 8:30, 11 in person at Carbondale Town Hall.
No.
Was that a thought? Okay, hearing no items for the next agenda. Are we done?
Just need a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Yep, we have a question from
question.
Art there.
Hi, Art. Go ahead.
Colin, I just wanted to offer you congratulations. This is the shortest RFTA meeting in the last 8 years.
Maybe it's because Greg's not here. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
think I was set up for that. Yeah. You know, it's really all about the staff. They're making us look good.
It's true.
Real quick,
Yeah,
this is
no.
Tori. I just wanted to say, everybody, have a great holiday. Enjoy your December. See you in the new year.
Thank you. So we had a motion by Alyssa to adjourn, second by, I didn't catch the.
Jeannie.
Any final comments? Great.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Thank you all. Have a great holiday season.
Happy
and
holidays.
We'll see you all in January.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.